Today we are interviewing Nancy P. Johnson, who is Associate Dean for Library and Information Services and Professor of Law at Georgia State University. Prior to her present appointment in 1986, Nancy served as reference librarian. Before that, she was Assistant Law Librarian at the University of Illinois, after beginning her career as Assistant Reference and Documents Librarian at the University of Chicago Law Library. Nancy, let's begin with a little personal history. Can you tell us where you were raised and about your life both then, when you were young, and today?
I was raised in Chicago, Illinois, and my husband and I and son moved to Atlanta in 1982, and so I've only been in 2 locations my entire life, other than going to work at the University of Illinois and getting my master's degree at Champaign-Urbana.
What about your educational and professional training? You say you got a master's degree at the University of Illinois at Champaign-Urbana. What degrees do you hold, and where did you go to college and finally to law school and library school?
Well, I attended Marycrest College, and then I went right to Champaign-Urbana to the University of Illinois and got my library degree. And in 1982, when we moved to Atlanta, I attended Georgia State and my law degree from Georgia State University. And I've been at Georgia State now for over 30 years, and I did obtain my, my degree here at the same time.
Let's move on now to your career in law librarianship. Did someone recruit you into the law librarian profession, or were you attracted to it through some other means?
Yeah, in those days, when I entered librarianship, there really wasn't much as far as recruitment, like some activities that go on today where librarians actually go after and, you know, recruit different people. But at the time, University of Illinois was offering assistantships, and I was fortunate enough to get an assistantship, and I was always interested in library work. In college, during the summers, I worked at the Chicago Public Library. And so, you know, I felt very comfortable in libraries. I liked being able to find information, answer questions, and I just liked the whole environment.
Nancy, I noticed that you started out as a documents librarian, and you've been involved in that end of the law library operation from time to time throughout your career. But you've also served our profession, including AELL, in many other ways, all of which are important. These include serving on and chairing committees, membership in the Depository Council for the Public Printer, and serving on at least 3 advisory boards for Westlaw. You've also been president of the Atlanta Law Libraries Association, president of the Southeastern chapter of AELL, president of the Consortium of Southeastern Law Libraries, and a member of the executive board of AELL. Could you tell us a bit about some of this work?
Well, it's all the activities that I really enjoy doing. I have always loved working in professional associations, and I feel like all these associations, AALL and SEAL and the Atlanta chapter and so forth, they've really have helped the profession to be able for librarians to network with each other, to meet new people and to learn about what's going on in other libraries. And actually my best friends are law librarians, and so I really feel very dedicated to professional work because I think it really adds to the librarian job. I mean, I always loved what I do, but I really enjoy professional work because I think it's fun. You get to contribute to the profession and add to the profession. And so I encourage my librarians here at Georgia State also to be involved, and they are. I mean, that's one of the basic kind of criteria of working here at Georgia State, is to be involved in different association work, whether it's, you know, some of them are involved in CALI or in SLA. It doesn't have to be just AALL, but just so that they're involved and, you know, writing for the newsletter or chairing a committee, working on a committee. All these are very important functions for being a professional. And I think that that's what is valued here by my dean in the College of Law, and I certainly value getting the name of Georgia State University out to other librarians. And this library is still, the law school is still a relatively new law school. It began in 1982, and in the early years it was really valued that I knew so many librarians, and that other librarians, other professors got to know a little bit about Georgia State through my professional association work. And so I really value what they do. It's all volunteer work, and that's, you know, very important that people get involved and stay involved no matter, you know, what the association is.
Nancy, your record of writings is very impressive, to say the least. Among your works is an extensive list of articles, chapters, and books, a few of which are about doing research, legal research in Georgia, and several books of your own or with co-authors. These include sources of compiled legislative histories, a bibliography of government documents, periodicals, and books, which is part of the ALL publications series and available today in Hein Online, and legal research exercises, which is now in its 10th edition, as I recall. In 2009, you received the very prestigious Frederick Charles Hicks Award for distinguished contributions to academic law librarianship. And in 2010, the Outstanding Article Award from the Academic Law Library's Special Interest section of ALL. Would you like to comment on why you believe it is important for law librarians, at least those in academic positions, to contribute to the literature, both of the law and of our own specialty within it, law librarianship?
I've always written about very practical applications. Of course, I value legal scholarship, but I think librarians' niche, as far as publishing, is to write bibliographies, how-to kind of articles. I've done a lot of work with Georgia Legal Research, and so I've written both an article, a book, and some CALI lessons also on Georgia Legal Research. And so I think that really helps not only law librarians, but attorneys, law students, everyone kind of learn a little bit about legal research, effective legal research. And I think that's important for librarians to write, no matter if it's for a newsletter or an article. It doesn't have to be, you know, an actual book or anything like that, but I really encourage the librarians here to write, and I'm particularly proud of Sources of Compiled Legislative History. It's now in its 2nd print edition, and it's on Hein Online, so it's easy to find an already compiled legislative history. And this one, even though I will be retiring soon, I made a commitment to Hein to continue updating this bibliography, most importantly because no one else would do it. And I think it's still a value to people that are trying to figure out how to compile a legislative history, what should be in a legislative history. I've gotten a lot of good feedback over the years on that particular publication. You mentioned that I've co-authored with a lot, and I think that it's important to get other librarians into writing, and so some of them have come from a business background or an accountant background, and they maybe do not necessarily know how to do a bibliography or where to start. And so I just feel like sometimes they need a little push, and if I kind of start the article or the bibliography, and then they can, if you divide something up like that, then it's a lot easier to complete it, and it doesn't go stagnant, and that's the end of it. So I really consider that a large part of my mentoring here in the library is to co-author with other librarians, and not even necessarily here in my library, but there's a lot of librarians who at one time or another worked here at Georgia State and have gone on to be directors and technical services librarians at Howard and Buffalo and Duke and other great libraries. And so sometimes they're also looking for someone to co-author with, or to kind of jumpstart a project that maybe isn't, they get sick of it, or they get kind of focused on doing something else. So I try to jump in. I find it easy to write. I'm a fast writer, not necessarily worthy of Nobel Prize, but fast and quick. So I think that they appreciate that if I start a project that I'll keep on them and keep after them to keep working on it.
You talk about your impending retirement and your decision to continue work in the bibliography area. I hope you'll also be able to continue mentoring some of our newer colleagues, because I think that is a very important part of what those of us who have finally worked our way up to more senior status ought to be doing, just like the seniors in our beginning days did for us.
I agree. I agree, because they might not know how to get involved in AALL, or feel like it's such a big organization that they'll never, be able to do anything that means anything. And the truth of the matter is, it's a big organization, but if you're willing to work on a committee or write a newsletter article or anything like that, every SIS or committee is more than happy to have you be involved. And so I think just letting them know and kind of keeping after them too, that all these association activities and writings, most of the new librarians are very focused on their careers. And so it's a little bit easier for them to kind of want to be involved. And if you tell them, yes, that's important, that's what you should be doing, in order to possibly advance to a bigger library or more responsibilities, then they become more eager to get involved in that way. And I hope to be able to continue to do that. I keep in touch with all the librarians, most of the librarians anyway, who have gone on to either court libraries, there's several of them, and also to other academic positions in other libraries. I think that's always been part of my job. Some faculty would say, well, why are the good librarians always leaving here? And I said, well, that's what they're supposed to be doing. I'm not going to keep them here just so that because it's a difficult task to find somebody else, but I want them to go on with their career, and oftentimes that means going to a bigger library or one where they have an advanced position that we might not have available at the time. So I encourage them to, sometimes it's really difficult to encourage them to apply to other positions, but they really appreciate being able to kind of sit down and talk to me about the positions, why they think it's going to advance their careers. And I can give, I can be honest with them and say, yeah, you need to get more supervisory experience, something like that. You need to be in maybe a second library. You've only been here at Georgia State. So I think they appreciate that what I can offer to them, and they're doing great things, being in other positions, and they're the leaders of the profession. The rest of us can retire, and I know once I leave Georgia State, the library is going to be a better place, because they know what to do. They know how to work in a library where service is #1, and they teach. They teach either at the reference desk or they teach in classes. And I've always encouraged librarians also to teach. I think that's really key for advancing to some of the other positions, is to teach either advanced legal research or teach something. I think that's also a very important aspect of being a professional librarian.
Thank you, Nancy Johnson, for allowing us to visit with you today and for taking these few moments to share so much about yourself and our profession. Before closing, however, is there anything else that you would like to add before we conclude this interview?
Well, I just think that being a law librarian in 2012 is a fabulous job, and I'm glad to see that it is a popular job. Those of us who are retiring now went through all the gloom of, well, there's not going to be a need for librarians because it's all going to be electronic. And I think now, more than ever, students and faculty need help because there's so many different sources. And this is the real value of being a librarian, is to be able to say, well, you can do it a lot faster if you use this or that or whatever. And I'm glad to see that those folks that ran off and got MBAs are maybe not as happy as librarians are, because I think the new librarians really value also being a professional librarian, either in technical services or in public services. And I think that the profession, from what I see of it, is going to just flourish and flourish. And the job market remains really strong. And I encourage the students now that are in library school to be either a law librarian or whatever kind of librarian they want to be. And I think the future is very bright for the profession. So I want to thank you and for the Hein Company for doing the video. I think this is a lot of fun, and I'm anxious to see the rest of the videos and the rest of the people on the videos. And I think it's wonderful to have a collection of oral history, and I think this is really a great project. So thank you for visiting here in Atlanta, and I'm looking forward to seeing all these videos.
Well, I have to admit, Nancy, that I thoroughly enjoy being involved in the project, and I was very flattered and very pleased when Dick Spinelli approached me about being involved. Like yourself and some of your plans post-retirement, I am retired, and this has sort of come along at a time when it's allowed me to reconnect with colleagues all over the country, including yourself.
Right.
And it's a nice experience. There's some very fine people in this profession, and we all have our stories, and that's what I'm hoping by watching the various videos in the series, we'll learn a lot more about that aspect of us as well.
Right.
Again, thank you, Nancy, for joining us today for this interview.
My pleasure. Thank you.